Client tracking is now easier and more convenient. NC Allies allows you to refer a juvenile to a program, manage the stages of referral, and track activity through informative reports. Soon, your new skills will be instinctive. Now, let's get started. There are two ways to log into NC Allies. When you verify the creation of your account, as detailed in the previous video, the system automatically logs you in and displays the search program screen. This is a one-time event. Every other time you log in, the system displays the program list screen. We also need to mention there are two ways the program list screen may appear. If you have previously accessed a program record, it will appear on the list. Otherwise, the list will be empty. We're about to explain general steps for logging in, manually accessing the search program screen, and adding a program record to an empty list. You may find some of the steps are not necessary, depending on your starting point. If so, just skip to what applies. First, enter your NCID login and password. Next, click on Login. Then go to Begin a Program Agreement and click on Search for an existing program. Now enter at least part of a program name. Finally, click on Search. Sometimes either no results or too many results display. In that case, you can always click on Refine Search Criteria and try something a little different. But our search was successful. So enter the DJJDP funding ID. If you're not sure what that is, contact the person who created the program or your supervisor. Next, click on Select. Notice the confirmation message. Your program list may or may not include the View column. Don't worry, it depends on factors unrelated to client tracking. You do need to be concerned about whether you see a client tracking link in the Sections column. It should display if funding for the associated program has been approved. If you suspect there's a problem, ask your program administrator to make sure you've been granted proper permissions. We're nearly done with this section of the video. Now click on the Client Tracking link. Notice all components associated with a program, in this case 1, display. Also notice the screen displays component type and several kinds of client count, open referrals, current population, and on waiting list. Now click on a component name. Notice the component information screen displays. Next, click on a client tracking activity link. Notice additional information displays. We start from the component information screen. First, click on Refer a Client. Notice the Search for a Client screen appears. It's important to find out if the juvenile you have in mind is already listed as a client of a program. A juvenile may be referred to multiple programs, but only needs to be entered once as a client. Next, enter search criteria. You must enter at least last name, social security number, or NC-wise student ID. Best practice calls for the least information because it minimizes duplication of work. Now click on Search. Congratulations, you have 4 matches. So click on a first name to access more detailed demographic information. Now back to the previous screen. Notice there's a Create Referral link for each successful match, except for one juvenile who has a View Referral link. That's because he's already attached to the program. Clicking on his link would display a corresponding client tracking information screen. We'll look at this type of screen later. If a different program not associated with this juvenile does a similar search, a Create Referral link would display in place of the View Referral link. Now that we've seen a successful search, let's look at an unsuccessful search. If no clients match your criteria, this message displays. It's a good idea to search again with other criteria just to make sure. If your juvenile still does not show up, just add him or her as a client. First, click on Add New Client. Next, enter all known information, especially for required fields. Then click on Save. Notice the client information screen appears with a confirmation message. Also notice you may edit the new information, delete the client, or create a referral. There is one limitation. You may not delete a client who has been attached to a program, but you may still edit or refer from the screen. We've seen two places from which to create a referral: a Create Referral link on the Search for a Client screen and a Create Referral button on the Client information screen. First, click Create Referral. Notice the Creating Referral screen appears. Next, enter all known information, especially for required fields. Then click on Save. Notice the Client Tracking Information screen appears with a confirmation message. If you need to correct or update referral information, you can click on the Referral tab. Then click on Edit. As we return to the Status tab, notice there are several buttons accessing additional screens. Individual buttons display depending on where the juvenile is in the referral process. The buttons may include Schedule Intake, Reschedule Intake, Place on Waiting List, Close Referral, Admit Referral, and Terminate from Program. You will never see all 6 buttons at the same time. After clicking on any of the buttons, you basically follow the same steps. First, enter all known information, especially for required fields. Then click on Save. The screens vary in complexity. Schedule Intake has no drop-downs. Reschedule Intake, Place on Waiting List, and Close Referral have 1 each. Admit Referral has more, but the actual number displayed is flexible, responding to information you have entered. Completing the Admit Referral screen results in an Admission tab, which allows editing. It also adds a Terminate from Program button on the Status tab. The Terminate from Program screen is the most complex. Some drop-downs and other fields only display under certain conditions. Now we'd like to call your attention to one more feature of the Client Tracking Information screen. The Client Datasheet button is located below the tabs, so give it a click. Notice a new window displays, allowing you to save or print a JCPC personal data sheet. We start at the menu bar at the top of the screen. First, go to Reports and click on the one you want. Then enter the program name and other information that may be requested. Finally, click on the link that begins with View. Notice the report displays, allowing you to save or print. You've just been exposed to a lot of new material, but thinking back, you'll realize the client tracking part of NC Allies will make your job easier. You may find it helpful to watch parts of this video again. Before long, what you've learned will be second nature.